It all started back in February of 2025, so around a year ago. And one day during this time, I was at work doing all my ordinary stuff until out of nowhere, I started to feel this dull, achy pain in my left testicle. And when I first felt this pain, I just brushed it off and I thought it was something like with my underwear giving me like an allergic reaction or maybe a wedgie. So I just brushed it off and I ignored it for a couple more hours until I could get out of work. But then after those couple hours passed, the pain got even worse. And that's when I did realize there was probably something wrong with my scrotum. So I went ahead into the restroom to go check it out. And what I noticed when I was checking around my balls was this clump of veins. If I were to describe it, that clump of veins kind of felt like a bag of worms. Like if you quite literally were to put like a bunch of worms into like a plastic bag and start feeling around, it felt exactly just like that. And it went away for about 2 weeks, I say. But after those 2 weeks, it came back. And on a scale of 1 through 10, the pain level was about like a 6 or even a 7. And you probably think right here, I'll probably like call the doctor right now, right? I did not. A couple months passed and I just ignored the pain. I just dealt with it. Until again, the pain got even worse to the point where it actually hurt to walk. So only then, that's when I actually called my doctor. Now then, a couple weeks passed and it was the day of my appointment. And I went in for my appointment and I talked to my doctor and I told her all my symptoms I was feeling. And what she had me do was to stand up and pull down my shorts. And quite literally, she just grabbed my balls to start to feel it around. And as she was feeling around my balls, I could quite literally feel the pain. It was fucking painful. Then after she finished, she told me that there was something there. But here's the weird part. She said, my doctor, she said it was nothing serious. And mentally I was like, what the fuck? My balls are hurting right now and you're telling me it's nothing serious? Luckily, she gave me the option to get an ultrasound just to make sure because my insurance covered that. So a couple weeks passed, I made another appointment with another clinic who had an ultrasound machine. And the day of the appointment, what they had me do is they had me lay down on this bed and show my balls to the nurse. So 15 minutes passed and then the nurse was finished with the test. And after the test, she just walks me out and she doesn't tell me anything about the results. It wasn't until about 2 weeks later, I received an email on my phone with the test results. And you want to know what it said? The test results said that I had a varicocele. If you don't know what a varicocele is, it's pretty much a clump of veins inside your testicles. You know those varices veins that older men get on their legs or like on their arms or some shit like that? Well, it turns out you can also get it inside your testicles. And this is very, very common. About 20% of the whole male population have a varicocele. And it's also known to drop your testosterone and your fertility rates, your sperm count. And yeah, it's not too dangerous like testicular cancer where they actually chop off your balls, but it's still very dangerous for your sperm count, your fertility, your ability to have kids. All right, so a couple weeks passed and then I went in with my primary doctor to go over the test results I had. And guess what she said? As she looked down at the test results, guess what she told me? She told me the same thing, that this was not something serious. That was something benign that I can just live with it. And mentally again, I was like, what the fuck? Now I know that this can drop your testosterone and your sperm count, and you're still telling me that this is something not serious? Really? And that's the problem with the modern day. Men's health, testosterone or sexual health isn't really given the attention that it needs to be. It was here about the problems with women, with about breast cancer and all the female problems, right? I'm not saying we should forget about those things, but there's no attention towards male problems. Whenever a guy talks about like their sexual health or even their balls, it's considered as sexist, misogynist, or controversial. And on top of that, there is this social belief that men should just figure it out for themselves. But if you were to really think about it, it's kind of dumb because the stability of our population of the world is based on men's sexual health, their sperm. Without men's sperm, you can't have kids and there's no future for humanity. And I'm sorry to say this, ladies, quite literally, the whole world is built by men. Look at the times of the Romans, the Greeks, the Mongols, the Crusaders. Look at those times, and they're all built by men. The world was built by strong men. And nowadays, these strong men are practically extinct now. And that's probably because how comfortable society has gotten and also modern feminism. modern feminism has gotten to an extreme point when talking about these things, and what I'm talking about right now is considered as sexist and misogynist and controversial. And because of that, young men are too afraid to talk about these problems. So what do? They'd rather sit in silence and just suffer. And this is why I'm sharing this story, to show you that it's fine to talk about these things, to not give a fuck what others think about our problems. And yes, people may call you cringe, they may call you weak and all that, but these things need to be talked about. Now, to continue the story, after I talked with my doctor, I went ahead and I booked an appointment with another doctor that actually specialized in this. And right away when I went in, they checked my balls quite literally within 5 minutes, and they immediately said, "Oh yeah, you got a grade 2 varicocele." And I was like, fuck, that was fucking quick. Then they also mentioned I had to get a surgery for it. And I got that surgery on February 4th of 2026. So about a year after I started to feel these symptoms. And that surgery was about 2 months ago. And the procedure was actually pretty easy. They walked me into the waiting room, they had me laid down on bed, and they put some relaxing meds and IV into me. And after about 2 hours, I was in the operating room and they put me to sleep. And after about 2 hours again, I was awake. It was that quick. And recovery for it wasn't too bad. I'd say the whole recovery took about less than 3 weeks. Within about 4 days, I was back in the gym. In about 2 weeks, I can fully go at full strength. Oh, and I also forgot to mention, I technically got 2 surgeries in one. So I have 2 cuts right above my dick. And it's kind of cool because if the ladies were to see it, I have a cool story to tell them. And now that brings us to the present day. And I have unfortunate news to tell you guys. I might have to get surgery again because the varicocele is back. Well, at least I believe it's back. It's been about 2 months since the last surgery and everything was going great until last week. I started to do more heavier lifts in my workout routine. And I'm not exactly sure that was actually my workouts that were causing this pain to come back, but it's for sure that varicocele is back again because I can feel the lumps and the clumps of veins. So it kind of fucking sucks, but that's how fucking life is. Fuck, it fucking hurts. I'm not gonna lie. And yeah, I know this doesn't sound that important and all of that, but if you were to really think about it, men's sexual health is probably one of the most important things for a man to be a true man. And we do really need to talk about these things. A study showed that men's testosterone decreased by 1 to 2% every single year. Another study concluded that men's sperm count has dropped by negative 52.4% since 1973. Isn't that fucking mind-blowing? That men's sexual health is decreasing every year, and you never really hear about it on the news. You always hear about the problems, about protests, AI, climate change, but those things are just distractions to the real problem, which are the things that are happening inside your body. So it's kind of up to us real men, or men who actually want to be real men, to take responsibility and to take action against this. And the simple way you can take action by is to simply check your balls. So let's do a test right now. Quite literally, grab out your balls and start feeling around. And you're gonna look around for any clumps of veins. It kind of feels like a bag of worms, as I mentioned before. And if you do feel like that bag of worms, that's a varicocele. Now there's actually another thing that you can check for, which is for testicular cancer. Now I'm not too experienced with this, but what I've heard online is that testicular cancer kind of feels like a BB bullet. You know those airsoft guns you used to shoot when you were a little kid? And you know those BB bullets it came with? It kind of feels like that, but it is attached to your testicle. So if you feel around your balls and you feel that lump attached to your testicles, that solid mass, that is testicular cancer. And if you're still unsure if you have any other problems, a simple way to check your balls is to simply go to a doctor and order an ultrasound. And yeah, I know that this sounds like this whole procedure with expenses and all of that, but it's better to be safe than sorry rather than not knowing there's actually a problem with you, because these problems are actually very common. And testicular cancer is actually more common than you actually think. About 1 of every 250 males will develop testicular cancer in their lifetime, and is most likely to occur in young men between the ages of 15 and 40. How fucking scary is that? That young men are the most vulnerable to these problems. Back then, testicular cancer and like other problems with sexual health was seen normal in older men because naturally, as you age, your health declines. But nowadays, young men in their 20s or even in their teen years are starting to see these problems. And the number one reason, what I believe is the real cause for this, is our environment. Over the years, the modern world has massively increased the amount of chemicals and materials inside our environment that destroy our sexual health, like plastics, air pollutions, pesticides, and heavy metals. And one other thing that you probably don't know about that decreases your sexual health is actually your phone. Your phone has EMF radiations, which are like these energy waves that they impair your testicular tissues and your testosterone cells. I'm not this whole expert on this, but let me show you what Dr. Huberman has to say on this topic.
Discussion I'm about to have with you relates to the fact that the electromagnetic fields and the heat-related effects of smartphones can indeed have a detrimental effect on sperm quality and, yes, indeed, on testosterone levels as well. I'm going to refer you to a paper. We will link it in the show note captions. The title of this paper is Effects of Mobile Phone Usage on Sperm Quality. No time-dependent relationship on usage, a systematic review and updated meta-analysis. This is a paper that came out in 2021 and talks about the fact that phones emit a radio frequency electromagnetic waves, which are called RF, radio frequency, EMWs, electromagnetic waves, at a low level between 80 and 2200 megahertz that can be absorbed by the human body. We know this, okay? This is not controversial, and have potential adverse effects on brain, heart, endocrine system, and reproductive function. That has been established. Keep in mind, there is basically no controversy that radio frequency waves and EMFs can have a negative impact on biological tissues.
Putting your phone inside your pocket is bad for your balls. And you're probably fucking mind blown right now hearing about this. You're probably like, what the fuck? I was exactly the same. Now, I don't put my phone anywhere near my balls or even my pockets. Everywhere I go, you're gonna see me carrying my phone in my hands. Whether that's going to the gym, to work, or to even the grocery store, it's always in my hands. So you do the same. Stop carrying your phone inside your pocket. Carry it in your hand. And you're afraid of it being like stolen or some shit like that, put it inside your backpack or inside your car. And believe it or not, you don't need your phone to survive or be a normal human being. So stop being this phone addict with a leaning hunchback fucking neck. And there's also other things that you need to watch out for, like your water and your food, which are being contaminated by microplastics. And what microplastics are like these microscopic pieces of plastics that are known to carry synthetic compounds known as estrogenics, which mimic the female sexual hormone known as estrogen. And in correlation to testosterone, when your body has more estrogen, it decreases your testosterone, which causes disruptions in your testicular and your testosterone production. And it turns out as well, in another study, about 100% of all males have microplastics inside their testicles. All men have fucking plastics in their balls. How fucking horrifying is that? We really do need to make a change, and we need to start living this more natural life like our ancestors did before technology. And I get it. We need technology nowadays because we need it for communications, transportation, and all of that. But we need to start constructing some boundaries against things and the things that are decreasing our sexual health. Because imagine losing 25% of your ability of having kids. Imagine yourself trying again and again to have kids with your wife, but you can't. And then she leaves you for another guy that would actually give her kids. Imagine that happening to you. This is a huge problem. This is probably the biggest problem in the modern world. And there's a war against this. There's a war against masculinity and men trying to be men. And you know about this. Don't lie to yourself. You know there's a war against us. And problems like this, where your sexual health are not given the attention that is needed because it's considered controversial. And you always hear this bullshit agenda that it's okay for men to be weak, that it's okay to chop off your balls and pretend to be a woman. When in reality, that's not okay. These kind of people that tell you this are fucking after you. They want to make you weaker and weaker just like them. And if you don't want to go through this, and you want to live a more high masculine, high testosterone life, then you need to live a more natural life, like our ancestors. Away from our phones, from our balls, away from the plastics, and be careful of all other things that may decrease your sexual health. We are at war, man. So make sure to tell your male friends, your brothers, about the problems with the plastics and the problems with their phones. Tell them to drink out of these kind of bottles rather than plastic bottles. And if anyone starts to laugh at you and they think that you're cringe, those are not your true friends. The real friends will appreciate the advice that you're giving them. And if anyone starts to hate you because of this, just remember, you're a man that cares for his future and is on his purpose. And your whole purpose is quite literally to have kids and to have a family. So take this seriously and check your balls. I hope you're doing okay. And I thank you for watching. And I see you on the next one. God bless.